Hey, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of With All Due Respect. We are your hosts. I'm Ryan Shead. That's Marcus Flowers. Brother, how are you doing?
Outstanding today, brother. We got a great guest coming on, so I'm looking forward to it.
Me too, man. So, if you're new to With All Due Respect, before we move on, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button so that you can tune in every time we bring these amazing candidates on. So, we've got another one for you today coming out of the state of Texas. And I'm going to play this video because it's better than anything I could say.
For Tony Box,
What's up?
the call came early. At 16, he was shot stopping a crime. Doctors weren't sure he'd live. He did, and made a promise to serve. Tony joined the Army to pay for school, became a tank commander, an officer. He helped uncover $30 billion in waste, then volunteered to serve in Iraq. After 9/11, Tony answered again.
Special Agent Box.
FBI Special Agent joined the elite SWAT unit, first through the door, time after time. With a young family at home, the call changed. Tony went to law school at night, then earned a degree from Harvard, and became a prosecutor, putting criminals behind bars and holding the powerful accountable. Now, Tony Box is running for Texas Attorney General because when laws are broken and corruption runs amok, when Texans need protection, when accountability matters, Tony answers. Tony Box, the Democrat for Texas Attorney General.
So, ladies and gentlemen, Tony Box running for AG of Texas, where early voting has started. So, if you're in the state of Texas, whether you're voting for Tony or not, make sure you get your butt out and vote. Make your voice heard. All right. But we'd prefer you vote for him.
I'm going to say this before we even start, Tony. In the Army, we have an acronym. It's leadership. It's LDR, ship. That stands for loyalty, duty, respect, selfless service, honor, integrity, and personal courage. Tony is the Army core values personified, in my opinion. And Tony, thanks for joining us today, my friend. How are you?
I'm well, Marcus. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. It's so good to be here. Really happy.
It's a pleasure having you.
So for those of you who didn't catch the video, Tony Box is a veteran. He was a member of the 1st Infantry, happened to also become an FBI special agent, was a member of SWAT, and then he was so bored in his off time, he decided to become a lawyer by going to school at night, and an accountant, which should probably come in handy if you're getting into government, and especially the way we're spending money. And on top of that, in his whatever time he had left over, decided to raise 3 sons as well with his wife of, I believe, over 30 years. It's interesting too. I chased a drunk down once, and we stopped him before he got to his house. He hit a 16-year-old girl, just bought her car that night, hit her head on, got out and tried running home. Because I guess at the time, I don't know if it's still a thing, but if you were home, then they can't say that they found you at the scene or whatever. But we got him 2 doors down from his house, and the cops were like right behind us and came in and took over. But what that says to me at a very early age, that you were the type of person that would jump into action, and action is what we need right now, especially in the state of Texas. So thank you for running. Thank you for, spending your time to continue serving not just Texas, but Americans.
I thank you for saying that. I feel called and honored to have the opportunity. One is have the opportunities that I have already had. Like, I'm blessed beyond measure. I could have been dead at 16. I could have been dead, after going to New York after 9/11 and when in Iraq and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
But the Lord has blessed me to continue on over these years. And I always felt that I needed to serve. And even, after a full career, I saw this as an opportunity to continue my service. It's the highest and best use of my skills and talents that I've developed over the years.
I like the way you said that. It's the best use of my skills. And I don't know how anybody could hear your resume at this point and not think that there isn't going to be many people that can compare to that.
I mean, that's a servant's heart. That's what you got. I mean, for me, after our career paths mirror each other, I don't have all the education.
Me neither.
He's got, didn't go to Morehouse or Harvard, but I served in the military, went into defense after that, spent a decade in Iraq and Afghanistan, came back home, worked for DOD, and after January 6th, I knew I had to serve in a different way. So
Yeah.
Tony, can you tell us, what made you decide, after all of the things that you're doing? I mean, I don't know how you find the time to do everything that you've done, stuff all of that into a career, but it's a lot. So what brought you to the decision to, decide to run for AG and
Yeah.
serve in that way?
So I'm in private practice, legal private practice, and I saw the abuse that was going on with the Attorney General's office in the state of Texas, and I saw that there was a need for a leader to be the Attorney General, a leader who really, really cared about the people, who put the people first, cared about the Constitution,
Mm.
and didn't give a hoot about politics. And so,
Yes, sir.
once I thought long and hard about, I wish we had a person who could do that. And I didn't see that person available, so I just put my own hat in the ring. I said, I am that person. So let me run for this job and pursue it with everything I have, and hopefully get an opportunity to continue to serve.
Now, I'm sure we're going.
Newsflash there, everybody. Ken Paxton ain't cutting it. So I don't know if anybody's surprised by that.
I was about to say, I know we're gonna roast Paxton here plenty in the next 10 minutes, but my question, I guess, is what was the moment that Ken Paxton had that made you go, oh no, I got to get in this?
This guy is not the guy.
Yeah.
So there's so many. One is the leading the effort to overturn Biden's victory, leading the charge, and
Setting the precedent.
Yeah, losing lawsuit after lawsuit after lawsuit,
Yeah.
and wasting taxpayer money,
Mm.
Texans' money.
Doing so.
That really ticked me off like tremendously
That
back
was.
then. And then there was just action after action, pursuing just kids and people who generally couldn't fight back. And if there's one thing I hate is a bully, right?
Yeah.
And so I felt that he was using that office to bully people.
Yes, sir.
And so that made me say, look, we need to find somebody in there who cares about integrity. Not only that, cares about integrity for the office, but the employees there.
Yeah.
Thousands of employees who want to work for a leader and
Yeah.
not a politician. And so that.
Sorry, sir. You said something about money, and I just wanted to ask you, having your degree in accounting, what is a way that people wouldn't imagine that you can use that degree in the AG role?
Sure. As a CPA, budgeting is second nature to me. Spreadsheets, money. People frequently lawyers say, "Look, I speak legalese. I don't speak finances." I'm fortunate that I'm bilingual.
You could do both.
And
Yeah.
so, to the extent that those matters, a huge budget. The Attorney General's office has an astronomical budget, and when you're evaluating cases and the merit of those cases, and whether the return on investment or whether it's a appropriate use of the taxpayer money, that goes in. And also some of these cases, I plan to be an attorney general that's not in the weeds, but certainly involved and understand like these complex financial fraud cases. And so my background, as a CPA helps me with that. Because one thing you want to do is you want to get it right. You don't want to accuse somebody of $1 billion fraud, or you have people out there, employees, and then be wrong.
Yeah.
So, in other words, an attorney general should have better things to do than bending over backwards to bootlick for the Trump administration.
They should. It's a big job, and you should spend your time.
It's a pretty good interpretation.
Attorney General way.
That's what I heard.
Thank you, sir.
Bending the knee to the president, bending the knee to the governor, bending the knee to the Republican Party, suing, taking the side of the Republican National Convention sues the state of Texas. Ken Paxton takes the side of the Republican National Convention or Republican Party
over Texans.
Over Texas. And you're the chief legal officer of the entire state. You are the man at the top, but yet responsible for defending Texans, but you don't defend them.
Yeah. You make me appreciate our AG here, Chris Mays, because she represents Arizonans way more than she ever represents the establishment, which I always appreciate.
Yeah, Chris Mays is extremely sharp. I admire her greatly.
We're lucky to have her. I hope the people of Arizona keep her where she's at, because that's where we need her right now. Speaking of people that we've needed over the years, we've talked on this show with Marcus and his experience with, getting out there campaigning, and we lost a Titan in the game. I believe it was yesterday. Reverend Jesse Jackson, who, for those of you who may not know, he was a civil rights hero, two-time presidential candidate, and he passed away at 84, leaving behind an amazing legacy of leadership and influence. I'm not going to talk about the orange guy. I'm going to leave it about us and Jesse Jackson. So my question for you two, as two veterans who have dedicated your lives to public service in this country, how did losing Jesse Jackson make you feel as black men?
So, Tony, I'm gonna take this first. I mean, it's for me, and it feels like over the last, we'll call it 5, 6, 7, 8, maybe 10 years, we've lost a lot of our stalwarts like John Lewis,
yeah.
now, C.T. Vivian, now Jesse, and it's all these icons, living icons that went on to be with the ancestors, that I looked at and looked up to. I don't study our history to be smart or to make it seem smart. I study to see what works, what's happened in the past, how we don't go back and repeat those problems. And I looked at people like Jesse and all of those guys, Andrew Young, who were part of the SCLC, who fought for the civil rights and everything that they went through. And it's hard to put into words, but these father figure's not the right word that I'm looking for, but these are the people who, really made me proud to be a black man, number one, and let me know that, the fight continues every day. We have to keep going. And, I remember the first time I saw Jesse, I was a kid, probably that Sesame Street thing where he did "I Am Somebody." That was probably my first experience with Jesse Jackson. That theme going on through, his entire life. I am somebody. That personifies it for me.
I'm gonna take it from
telling me as a young black kid at the time, you are somebody, no matter what you look like, no matter what your circumstances are. Jesse was the first person to get that message across to me. So I realized then, my circumstances are a little bit, this, that, and the other. We're on welfare. We're poor. Black kid growing up, in rural Alabama, but I am somebody. I deserve dignity and respect. So
opportunity.
And opportunities, just like everybody else. And seeing Jesse run for president, saying, why not? He didn't win, but he led up to Barack Obama winning the nomination and going on to be president. So to me, I can't really quantify, what people like, Andy Young, Jesse Jackson, and John Lewis, which I'm from Troy, Alabama, the birthplace of John Lewis. So, the biggest icon for me. But, seeing these guys go on to be with the ancestors, it's, it feels like we're going into a different era. We're turning the page. Now it's our turn. Guys like me and Tony, our age, it's our time to lead and to carry on the work that they done. So that's kind of where I'm at, Tony.
Jesse was such an inspiration, and he had so many talents. He was a civil rights leader. He was a preacher, a very effective preacher. He had a flock. And then he became a politician and ran for president and did a phenomenal job doing that. And so he inspired me in so many different ways. And, I look and I say, okay, I was a soldier. Okay, I was an FBI agent, or I was a prosecutor, but I can do more. Jesse did several things, and he eventually became a politician and then continued to inspire us for many, many years later. And that's who I look up to, somebody who's not, who takes the non-traditional path or the non-linear path. And, now that I'm running for Attorney General of the state of Texas, I think about people like Jesse, who didn't sit down on their prior accomplishments. And he had great notoriety, but he wanted to help people, which is, of course, the same reason why I'm running to be Attorney General.
There's a through line. you know,
Yeah.
Yeah, there
black
is.
people in this society having the audacity to do that, the audacity to run for president, as, the first black man to do it. So,
And for me, I was privileged enough to grow up in an interracial household. And I remember that Jesse Jackson was the first person I ever heard say to my white brothers and sisters. And the first time I heard it, that just hit me. Because I'm like, he isn't just talking to black people. Like, he's trying to get us all to wake up. Like, he's trying to get us all to see what's wrong with us. Like, he wasn't above criticizing his own community. He wasn't just pointing the finger at the white people. And that was something that, made me respect him. But I don't want to move on because we're talking about the presidency and paving the way for Obama. And I think I would be remiss if we didn't at least mention Shirley Chisholm, who was another person who paved the way for Obama and women to run. So Black History Month is upon us, and how fitting it was to lose Reverend Jackson during Black History Month with the contributions that he made. So
to remind people of his story, not that
yes,
we're saddened to lose him, and my condolences.
Celebrate him.
Once
We need
again.
to celebrate him.
But
definitely need to celebrate a life like that. That was a life well lived.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
So thank you for allowing me to ask you all that. So with that, Marcus, what's the last few questions we want to ask here?
So again, Tony, let's talk about what you would do differently from Ken Paxton, who is out attacking kids and just not being a very smart attorney general. He's doing, like I said, bending over backwards to bootlick for this administration. What should an AG look like? What are you going to bring to the table?
I tell people all the time, it does no good to replace Ken Paxton, who's a politician. He came from the legislature. He went to the attorney general's office, and he's been doing politics since he came there about a decade ago, with a Democratic version of Ken Paxton. I tell people, look, if you want a Democratic version, just going to just sue for the sake of suing and harming people who you believe can't fight back, then I'm not your guy, right? What a attorney general looks like is somebody who's non-political, who knows right from wrong, who knows the Constitution, is going to defend the Constitution even when it's difficult, and pursue anyone who needs to be pursued. If you need to take enforcement action against a Democrat or Republican, it does not matter. I'm the guy to take that action if you're harming Texans or if you're violating the Constitution or some law. And so that's what it should look like, a non-political person who's just neutral. I grew up inside of both the FBI as well as the DOJ. And back then, that's the type of organizations we were. We didn't know who was Republican and Democrat. We didn't care. We just wanted to go out and do good work.
Yeah. Well, you come from an Army background, and we're all apolitical there. I mean, you've got the compliance piece, you've got the finance piece. I mean, you fought against fraud, waste, and abuse, just like that. That's very near and dear to my heart as a compliance guy who also helped save billions in taxpayer dollars. That really hit home for me as well.
I was a mechanic wasting the money. Sorry.
Wasting it, but guys like me would come around.
We all need it, right?
Did you really need to throw all those sanding discs
need
away?
Those parts over there.
Yeah.
That we're paying to store.
Yeah, exactly.
But Tony, again, everything you're about is near and dear to me. It speaks to me. You've got a servant's heart, and that's really what it takes. That's really what it takes. It's not about politics. It's about doing the job and serving the people of, in your case, Texas and the United States for that matter, because you'll get Ken Paxton out of there, who's wasting Texans' money and also hurting the United States with the stunts that he's been pulling. I told you we're going to go in on Ken Paxton here, but he really is a bad attorney general. Sorry, guys. Texas, if you're listening, Tony Box is your guy. Tony, why don't you tell the people how they can reach out and support your campaign? I think we got early voting going on right now, if I'm not mistaken, in Texas right now. We do here in Georgia. So,
early voting started yesterday, and so it's going to continue another 9 days. And the election is 2 weeks from now. So people can contact me, Tony Box for Texas, and that's my website and my socials. The video that you all saw is on my website. If if you're on YouTube and you want to see it, it's Tony Boxford, Texas AG. And so you can find out about me and what we're up to and what our priorities are, helping the people. It's always going to be overarching. It's not complicated. Is this helping or harming the citizens of Texas? And that's what the priority is going to be. And then we have sub priorities like, consumer protection and things of that nature, which is also my background. But really, it's that is the guiding light, whether it's going to help or hurt and whether it's constitutional or not or legal. And so, yeah, Tony Box for Texas is where you can find it.
And if it's all right, sir, I want to ask a question before we let you go, and that is, I feel like Ken Paxton, especially along with some other AGs, have been used to set precedents for this Trump administration. What is your view on state AGs being used to set federal precedent?
It's not appropriate. I mean, state AG should operate for the state and the state only, and protect the citizens, and not to set federal precedents. You have a huge federal bureaucracy if you want to set federal precedents. You just do your work, protect the citizens if they're being harmed. In some cases, you may need to sue the federal government. For example, if the federal government is pulling billions of dollars out of your state, then it's appropriate to sue the federal, and they pull them out of your state inappropriately, without the proper notice, without proper information, just politics. And so you should sue the federal government in that case. But just to set precedents for the sake of it, or for the party, no, that's not appropriate.
Yeah. Awesome. Sir, thank you so much for being generous with your time. I know you're traveling, so stay safe out there. And everybody, please go check out Tony Box for Texas AG. Early voting has already started, so if you're in Texas, get your butt out and vote. If you're not in Texas, please pay attention, because as you can see, these AG races and positions are being used in nefarious ways to set precedents that most Americans don't want. So, sir, thank you for not just representing Texans, but thank you because I know you're going to work for all of us.
Absolutely. If I could say one last thing.
Yes, please.
I've lived a life of service, and it's demonstrated. You can see it clearly. And I tell people, they say, well, we don't know if we should vote for you or someone else. I ask people to make the evaluation on this. You can tell what a person's going to do in the future by what they've done in the past. So look at my record and evaluate it closely, and then determine whether I'm the kind of guy who's going to continue to serve the people of Texas. And I believe the answer to that would be yes.
Absolutely.
I absolutely co-sign that. Sir, thank you so much. Look forward to talking to you again.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Marcus and I hope you enjoyed that interview, and thank you for tuning in to another episode of With All Due Respect. Make sure you tune in next week. We've got another great guest for you.